another episode of Bonafide podcast featuring the one and only Terian Williams.
Boom, boom, boom.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Glad to be on. Appreciate you for having me.
Of course, I wanted to make sure to get all the athletes from the athlete con to, be on the podcast and share their story. So, of course, you already know I had to make sure the entrepreneur of the year get on. So, big congratulations on that for real.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So let's get it started, sir. So can you tell us like how you got to where you are in your journey, your sports journey?
How did I get? It's a long journey. I mean, honestly, all just hard work, dedication from really day one. Everything kind of stacked on top of each other. Talking about elementary school, middle school, but I would say all the whole basis came from just my parents instilling in me like the different basics of how to necessarily succeed in life, and then off of that, being able to lean on what I basically call as my village throughout life that can help me, overcome certain circumstances.
I know that's right. When you got a great village around you, like when you are surrounded with by people that's like really good for you and just everything about you, that's when you know you solid.
I love my village. I love my village.
I know that's right. So my question for you is, you go to Bucknell, and I noticed you went to Stanford. So, what was the transition like going from, say, Stanford to Bucknell? And, like, what would you say are some of the misconceptions about, like, say, the transfer portal process?
I say like the biggest kind of adjustment going from like Stanford to Bucknell was I guess the school size. I guess I would say like the biggest transition. You talking about at Stanford, a lecture hall could probably have about 200, 300 students compared to Bucknell. Like a lecture for us is about 30 people in the classroom. So it's a big difference in terms of that. But education wise, both are top tier schools when it comes to, when you talk about education, academics. Both have great alumni bases, great, engagement when it comes to being able to connect with the alumni. And then football wise, being able to play football at both Stanford and Bucknell, being able to learn from different coaches. Always got to give my shout out to my original head coach, Coach Shaw, who recruited me in. I love Coach Shaw, Coach Akeem as well. Those were like my first coaches when I was out at Stanford. Love them, but love my staff here at Bucknell as well. Coach Chick, head coach, and then Coach Bowers, DC, and Coach Parker, DB coach, and the rest of the staff. They good. They do a good job in terms of developing players and helping us. And then in terms of the transfer portal, I'd say most people just see what they see on social media when it comes to transfer portal, that people just hop in basically just because somebody's offering more money. But that's like limited people that happens to. I would say most of the time transfer portal can happen because one, somebody doesn't necessarily feel fit in a school or a system. A new coach could have came in. Um, there could have been a situation at the school that necessarily wasn't mentally stable for that student athlete. Or again, a student athlete can also just get cut, but you wouldn't hear that in the social media. You just hear that they're entering the transfer portal. So many different circumstances that the transfer portal brings that social media doesn't really get that other side of.
For sure, because I will say, like, back in the day, like when I was in college, like I say, I'm old, but like transfer portal, like when you transferred, you had to sit out
Yeah,
for
you
a
got
year.
to see how that year.
And then nowadays, like the transfer portal, like you can just go in, come out and play. But I feel like a lot of people just seem like to bash the people that enter the transfer portal, even though they don't understand the circumstances of why this athlete chose it. It could be like they want to be closer to their family in case something happened, or they just, anything like so. I just think like, and like I said, correct me if I'm wrong about it. So, and this also leads to like my question about, you know, you got a chance to go to AthleteCon, you won Entrepreneur of the Year, and my question for you is, what was the experience like for you to be able to participate at AthleteCon? and and then also be named Entrepreneur of the Year.
AfriCon was amazing. Being able to bond with a group of athletes and it come across that we've known each other like for years, but we just met each other between that 2 3 day period was crazy. Shout out to Sam Green for putting it on, all the hard work. And then just learning from different, social media platforms or, different entrepreneurs in terms of things they've done and being able to feed off of other people as well, understanding the different routes that they're going, understanding the different situations that's going on in their schools as well, and then being able to win Entrepreneur of the Year was like a blessing. Honestly, didn't think I was winning an award at the event. I always put my foot forward, but that's not like why I do what I do. But it was an honor to be recognized for the hard work that I do put in, because a lot of sleepless nights and hard work that go on behind the scenes compared to social media where it just may seem like somebody just wins and just continues to win, but a lot of people don't see a lot of the hard work that I put on behind the scenes. So that was just a blessing.
For sure, especially like when you mentioned like the hard work that's behind the scenes, like especially it takes so much time, and like you try to make it like precise, and hopefully it just whether it goes viral, just hits the right time in the right place and brings in the right people that will support. So, and you got a chance to, man, I seen the video where you got a chance to do like the fairy challenge with Livy Dunn. So I was like,
Yes,
yo, you got a
yes.
chance to do that? What? I was like, okay. But, and then also like you also won the challenge that athletes.org did. So, what was that like with the process of creating all those things and, being and winning that whole tournament? And also, can you let the people know like what is athletes.org and how it has like made a huge impact on you?
Yeah, so athletes.org is really just your players association for college athletics. Everybody has like an association that looks out for them, um, whether it's like coaches, trainers, medical staff. Everybody has somebody that looks out for them, except for the college athletes when it comes to college sports. When you go professional, NFL, NBA, all of them, WNBA, all of them have a players association that looks out for them. So athletes.org is trying to be that player association that looks out for the athletes for different issues that are going on, different scenarios, because there's so many upper hand, upper administration that try to capitalize off player these college athletes, and it's important to have somebody that is on the other side that looks out for you as well. So that's kind of what athletes.org is, and to win the tournament, the creators tourney, it was pretty fun. I tried to mix up different ideas, try to figure out the best way to engage my audience, but also get my point across. Um, and it was fun to be able to make. I got different people involved. I try to go off of different trends that were going on in the world based off TikTok and being able to incorporate my different friends on campus or even different people across social media, figuring out different ways to kind of incorporate different things. So it was definitely a fun process, fun turning overall.
Man, because there were so many, like, it went from being like 16 to the, Elite Eight, Final Four. Then, like, I'm just like, yo. And I saw like the videos that you put, I was like, dang, this is really creative. Like, holy snapples. I was like, and it made, like, and the prompts were like, okay, like,
Yeah, the
it,
prompts were they were tough and it could go like any direction based off your creativity. So I was like, okay, I got to think of something.
man, because like I said, the videos you create, I was like, I'm here for it. I was like, yes. So my question for you is, I see you support so many women's sports, women's athletes, especially like seeing, your ties with Kiki. Oh gosh, I cannot. I feel like I'm gonna pronounce her
Kiki
last name
area
wrong.
fan.
So
Kiki
I
area
see Irafin,
area fan.
Area fan. So I see you have close ties with Kiki Irafan from the Washington Mystics, and she played at Stanford and Southern Cal. So what inspired you to be an advocate for women's sports?
I love women's sports, especially when it comes to like WNBA softball. Especially coming from Stanford, it kind of got me more into women's sports because a lot of those sports teams are the heavy hitters in the women's sports world, and be able to become an advocate for them is like because they're a lot of my close friends as well. So being able to use my platform to be able to spread the knowledge about women's sports is important. Kiki, she will never tell this story, but I beat her in a 2-on-2 tournament that we had at Stanford. It was funny the way we met. It was like it was a power outage on campus, and the football team, women's basketball team, it was the only ones really on campus during the summer, and we had like a little basketball game outside on the course. It was like one of the best days ever during the summer. And basically, we did like a 2-on-2 game. Me, my boy David Bailey's actually at Texas Tech against uh, Kiki and Janaya. Janaya's at SMU now. And, they're going to say they won. We really won. That's what happened. But that's the first time we actually met. And ever since then, it's been skyrocketed. We support each other through thick and thin. Always knew she was gonna do great things, and good to see. She just got, is stepping to the All Star game and stuff like that. But being able to one be an advocate because women's sports is like some good stuff to watch. Like they be balling, especially when it comes to WNBA. They be balling. But yeah, like women's sports is amazing to watch, and being able to advocate for them is also a blessing.
For sure. You mentioned like Stanford. When I tell you Stanford had like a powerhouse when it comes to women's basketball, especially their coach Tara Vanderveer, like just getting her own court now, like being named and having like the most wins ever. Like that's when you know Stanford had like, of course, a rich history within women's sports, like the program. And yes, I was very happy Kiki got into All Star. I even voted for her because I was like, dang, this she is like hooping for her rookie season, just making numbers and making history already. So, and my question for you is, do you hope to see more, more viewership and more attention to women's sports that will continue to grow?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah, viewership's gonna continue to grow. I have a little sister. She's going into soccer for college now, Queen's University in Charlotte, and being able to understand like where women's sports is going is important. I'm happy for her as well, but it's gonna continue to grow because of the platform that's being put on and people understanding like, man, this is some good stuff to watch. Like this is entertainment as well.
Queens University up in here, man. And I'm in Charlotte too, so I live. I was like, that you gonna
Yeah,
come to the Charlotte games then?
I'm gonna be soccer game be pushing around same time around football season. I
That
think it's
is
one day in our bye week. I might fly out, fly in right quick to see a game and fly back out.
man. If you do, we definitely gotta be like, hey, we gotta make some contact. Of like,
Got to, got to.
hey, but that is true because women's soccer and football is like, they collide each other.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, what are some personal goals and like your career goals coming up in the season for you for football?
Season All American for sure. It's an All American type of year, and I'm approaching every practice and every thing I do as that. No plan B's about that. It's an All American year. Um, that's the goal. All American year. I mean, Patriot League championship too, as a team, but also being able to lead my team in the best way I can. Being able to set us up for success. So all of our brothers we can lean on each other to win that Patriot League championship
Hey, you better manifest that too. So you
for
would
sure.
speak it into
For
existence.
sure.
So my question for you is too. So I always say that athletes are humans first, and this leads to my question, as a football player and a black man, how important is mental health?
It's very important. Mental health, especially in sports, you teach so much to fight through stuff, but mentally being able to open up to somebody for one, talk to different people, or understand different things that is going on with you is important, especially as a black man. uh, One, as a male figure, always having to be the provider, but understanding that you can also have a soft spot is important. But two, also being a black man, understanding that sometimes you're in a space where you're not necessarily wanted by people is also a hard thing. So being able to open up about that mental health, and I actually just got done with a mental health program with my guy J Lo out. We went to Stanford together, but he has like a whole mental health program. J Lo, I'm plugging you in right now. Y'all know, tap in with my guy. Hey, that's my guy right there, man. But he got a whole program in terms of mental health and kind of just like from breathing work, breaking down who you are as a person, the fears you have, all those different things. We did some great work, but now I just say that I have a mental health coach. I know I can call him up if I need him. So mental health is very important, though. I think that's one of the aspects that when you come out of high school, you don't understand how important it is because when you're in a household, you're with your parents or whoever you with a backbone. But when you go off to college, sometimes you're gonna be like, in your four walls by yourself sometimes.
Absolutely, like, because it's just, I feel like people need to understand that, like I said, athletes are humans first. And then, like, you know, I think for me, like, you hearing more like athletes are just disappearing. Um, and especially the biggest one, I feel like one of the biggest ones, the biggest stories was the football player from LSU. I feel like that kind of just impacted so many people that it led to like the whole conversation about mental health is very important for athletes. Do you feel like that type of, those type of like hearing those just kind of just needs to be heard more, where just like the conversation about mental health for athletes need to be really like normalized and more aware?
I definitely think it needs to be more normalized. Where people understand it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to even to cry sometimes. You don't always have to act tough in a situation. Just because you act tough doesn't mean you're the best. So I think it's very important for different people to be able to open up. I to this day I still reach out to all my boys that I'm cool with, and just check in with them, make sure they good. Anything they got to talk about, I'm here, and on that type of time and understanding that if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here for you, no judgment. Because everybody goes through different things. You never understand what somebody's going through until it's too late. So being able to open up those conversations is very important.
How important you feel like is having a safe space for, the athletes?
Safe space is definitely important. Nobody's gonna speak up in a space they feel like is being judged or feel like their spot can be provoked or something like that. So having a safe space is definitely the number one solution to this problem.
Let them know, sir. Just let them know, because dropping gems all over the place. So, but my question for you is, when it comes to representation, both on and off the field, how important is representation when it comes for you, as well as like being, looked up to as a role model, like just whether it's the younger generation or the older generation?
Representation as in like an agency, or representation as like somebody looking up to you.
Looking up to you.
I say is very important because everything I do is magnified on a glass. I have a lot of whether young kids on social media that follow me, or even like parents of kids that follow me, and trying to see the different things that I do to get where I am or where I'm going. So everything is important in terms of how I represent myself on and off the field. Understanding that I'm also creating a platform for my little sister, but also generations after me of my bloodline. So being able to leave that legacy is more important than what I do necessarily on the field stat wise. Being able to leave my last name as something great that was here on earth.
You gotta let them know to leave a legacy. Come on now. Come on. So, you're big on the NIL, like you've had many multiple deals. So, how do you incorporate social media and NIL into your, everyday schedule, especially as college athlete?
I mean, your NIL is you. You are your brand. That's when you understand that. That's when you really flourish. The same way that you study. for school, the same way you study for a playbook, the same way you approach the game, same way I approach my NIL space. It's my brand, and I understand my brand's going to continue even after ball. My brand's even going to continue once I die. So being able to put myself in the best position to one monetize my brand, but two, kind of like leave that legacy of what my brand is definitely important.
What is the type of brand do you see yourself like flourishing?
One is like overall my brand is one. He has a village behind him. Whether it's collabing with different people, connecting with different people, going through things with my nonprofit, he has a village behind him. He's not a selfish mentality person. uh Two, leadership, showing the leadership roles that I take on through different aspects of life. And then three, outgoing, loving personality. I'm an outgoing person. I love talking to people, but I also show everything about love. So that's kind of like how my brand kind of evolves around each other, and how I kind of showcase it on social media.
You are definitely, sir, very outgoing for sure. And you do like have a loving like spirit about you for real. Like just meeting you, I was like, I know that's the guy about I know that he's the one that won the athlete creator, but I was like, how do I approach him without feeling like just like just how do I approach him in the like a good first impression and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'll just be me. I may be a sponsor person, but I'm gonna just be me because I advocate for the athletes and I just advocate for athletes and their well being and just everything and just seeing them finally getting monetized for their name and image and likeness. Like I'm here for it. So and this also leads to my question to like your two companies. You have the CEO of two companies. Can you like describe like what your two companies is and what they're about?
Yeah, so I founded my nonprofit in 2023. It Takes a Village Family Foundation. Basically, the mission is to help the underserved communities. Right now, it's just in Atlanta, but it's continuing to expand in different areas. Since I'm in Lewisburg, PA, at Buttnell, we've done some work here around the community, but to help the underserved communities in Atlanta by providing resources, education, and opportunities to the youth to help close the gap. And then we've done some good work, have different events, actually preparing for our event this upcoming Saturday, back to school event in Atlanta, Georgia. Doing some great things. Have some special guests that's coming out as well, and just connecting with the community, with the kids, but also bringing in some mentors that can kind of showcase and connect with them to show, there's different routes that you can go to be successful, but connect with different people, understand like you don't have to to go to streetwear or anything like that. Let's let's stay safe. Let's keep each other alive, and see that there's something else out there for you. And then number two is TA Sports Management and Consulting. Me and my partner, me and Johnson, founded that last year. It's a sports agency, particularly towards NIL currently. We have about 10 athletes under the agency right now, and we really did it, one, because we seen a gap that a lot of agents, people that just step into the space and think they're agents, are taking advantage of the athletes. But also, two, we don't see, one, the universities taking a role of trying to teach kids, whether it's financial education or different ways from taxes or different things, teaching them how to create a whole brand, or also seeing that you know athletes will always reach out asking how to negotiate different deals. So kind of put those things together and kind of create the agency off that.
Man, cause I was like, oh, he got his own an NIL agency, and I was like, man, this man is doing it big. He doing it, and you know, with your agency, like, are there like what is it that you look for when it comes to like selecting the athletes? What is some of the key requirements that you look for in the athletes to be part of your agency?
Yeah, so some of the key things is kind of the same things that's kind of my brand as well. One is some type of leader, or somebody that's doing something bigger than themselves. Because when you're able to find somebody that's bigger than themselves, then it's easier to work with them on different projects, on different content campaign activations, or when different things come up, situations, issues. It's easier to talk to those people than a selfish person that's just self-minded. So that's one of the big things that we look for when we look into our athletes, but also two, people that also want to learn. whether it's content creation, learning how to create their brand, create content, financial education. People that want to do more with their brand outside of just their sport.
For sure. Because I was like, I think I had you had shared one of the athletes, and they had to deal with Mullah kids. I was like, oh my gosh, this is fire! And it was crazy because I was like, I remember we were go at the athlete con. I had like my shoes, and like
Yeah,
those Mullah kids. I was like, yeah, I do wear them. He's like, I was like, oh, he knows some people, but I was like, I be wearing them all the time. I be wearing them in my basketball video contests, always making sure the tag goes. I was like, man, that's like you always have like those dream brands, like you want to like work with them or hopefully get like, yeah, that I was like, that is my dream brand to have like the moolah kicks and stuff. Cause I was like, I always put them on my wish list for Christmas or my birthday. So
yeah.
I'm like, but my question for you is, do you have like a dream brand that you would love to like collaborate with?
Um, So originally, my dream brand to collaborate, well, I had two actually. I kind of playing goals in terms of companies I want to collaborate with. One was a car company. Did that last year, so was able to collaborate with them. Two was Beats by Dre. Ended up collaborating with them for my nonprofit. So I currently do not have a brand that I know I want to collaborate with because those were like two of my big ones. But I do need to create a new goal in terms of a brand I want to get after. It might be Apple next, but Apple's connected with Beats, so it's an easier goal to kind of get towards. But a lot of my collaborations that I set as goals are necessarily towards my nonprofit ways I'm able to partner with them so we can do things for the community.
Man, those are the big ones too. The car one too. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
it's like just skirt skirt, just but Beats though, Beats by
Yeah,
Dre,
yeah,
that's a big one right there.
yeah.
Cause those headphones, like for the longest time, I used to see people have the headphones,
Oh yeah, I
they
love
look
the headphones.
and they look so concentrated. Like they would wear them, like man, you know they're in tunnel vision. They're so concentrated right now. Just so. But my question for you is, how would you describe your journey? Whether it's a couple words or a phrase, how would you describe your journey?
Up and down. Journey's been up and down. Nothing's gonna be a straight line or nothing's gonna be straight up. You learn as you go, and I say, I wouldn't take anything that I did learn on the way, wouldn't say let's not do that again. I'll say everything that has happened for a reason and it's prepared me to be in the best position that I am.
You better let them know, sir. Let them know. Because you're right about it. Like life is not a straight line. Because if it was a straight line, like what would you have learned from
Yeah,
anything? And you know, certain God could turn a trial or tribulation into a testimony real quick.
exactly.
So I always ask my guests this question. So Bonafide means authentic and unique. For the men, I always ask, the authenticity, being authentic, because I just bloopered with saying that other word wrong. So my stutterness came out. So my question for you is, what makes Mr. Terian Williams authentic, and what makes your story stand out?
What makes my story stand out? Um, I say everything I'm doing. I say, I necessarily wasn't handed anything. Everything I do has been from hard work or learning along the way, kind of like we were just talking about. But like I said, everything that I do is to kind of put my last name in a legacy. And since elementary school, I've made my last name somewhere, everywhere. My last name is in my elementary school for records. My last name is in my middle school for state champion. My last name is in my high school for Hall of Fame. My last name is now in my college here for captain for this season, which goes up on the board. So continue to mark my last name in different spots, so my kids can come back and say this is the example that we have to go by. And I say that's kind of that authentic movement of how I go about things.
Yo, that's too real right there. Especially like it sound the way you. I was like, dang, he really just saw himself and said, "I'm gonna make this mark." The way he's it's like the way you describe it is like, "I'm gonna just take over and make sure my name is in the history books." So, the fact that you are a legend yourself, like you created a legacy, and you know what you're. First of all, I gotta give you your flowers and respect right there, cause sir, you do an amazing job for real. Like I said, we just met at the athlete con, you know, but seeing you like knowing what you want in life and knowing like you put in the work and the hard work and just dominating both on and off the field, like to me, like that is super amazing. And I love your content, sir. I'll be like, when your content come up, I'm like, yes, yes, like yes, I'm here for it. So, but yeah, I just wanted to give you the respective flowers to you, sir.
I appreciate that, Ashley. I really do appreciate it. Much love.
Yes, sir. Can you let the folks know how where they can find you and support you as well as upcoming events?
For sure, for sure. You can find me on Instagram at Terian Williams, Terian Williams. You can find me on Snapchat at Terian Williams 9. You can find me on TikTok also at Terian Williams 9. Next event coming up is the back to school event this Saturday. We're helping kids in the community with backpack, pencils, pens, everything they need, positivity, funds, games, everything they need to get back to school, back rolling. Appreciate the opportunity to be able to come on this podcast. Let's give Ashley her props. Doing great
Oh,
things. Appreciate it.
oh, I may cry later on, just tears of joy. So, but okay. But sir, y'all heard it from the man him first. Y'all heard it from the king himself first. Y'all be sure to follow him and support his nonprofits. Support the two companies. Be sure to follow him in all his social medias. I'm telling y'all, y'all be amazed with his content. I'm telling y'all better support this king right here. So thank you guys for tuning in to Bonafide Podcast episode 149 featuring Terian Williams. And big shout out to Terian for coming on the podcast to share your story. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.